Hey, Sherry Borger from Stampin' Short by Sherry Borger. I'm going to have this put on YouTube mainly for the advantage of my Stamp Camp people. What I do, try to do monthly, or some months it's a little hard to do it, is I make this instruction sheets and I put in pictures so they know what the card is supposed to look like in the end result. So I'm going to go through this, how to put the card together, and then I'll do a few explanations along the way. So I apologize for my stamp crew. You probably already know this, but people that might just be watching that don't know this. And I always welcome other people that might be interested in Stamp Camp. Let me know. What I did this time is I found this particular set of cards that was put into a newsletter that I get from Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator. They were showing 3 ways you can use the same idea and put it on 3 cards in different ways. So the idea was they used 3 circles and some leaves and some twine, and each one was a little bit different. That's what I went with. I went with some retired colors because I had quite a bit, and I love the result. So I'm going to quickly go through it a little bit so you understand what I did. I actually never throw away old things. I get a lot of paper pumpkin kits, and this was actually from an old paper pumpkin kit. It actually was green, and and so I kept them because I didn't use them all. And I'm using the back side, which is the white. And then this was also in there. I'm not gonna go to waste, so it's not a perfect circle, but you can recreate this with a circle. And then I use my paper punch for the smallest circle. The 3 sizes were 1 3/4. That's the big one. 1 1/2 would be the small one, or the one that's all edgy. But if you wanted, if you have the 1 1/2 punch, that's for that one. And then the small one was 1 inch. Okay, so those are the dimensions. I'm going to show you real quick. Here is the first card. I used the 2-step process. Through all 3 cards are the 2-step flower process. This one was abstract expressions, and I used this flower, the big one, and then I used the small flower, and it turned out beautiful. And so that was the card, the first card. Okay, so you are going to take your paper, you're going to fold it in the horizontal position, and my designer series paper was actually 6x6 paper that I cut down to 3 inches, so that way I could make 2 cards out of each piece of paper, 2 by 5 1/2. And so you're going to put the first strip flat, adhere it flat to the bottom of the front, and then we're going to layer the other pieces around it. I just took different sentiments that I have throughout my whole library of cards. So I didn't pull all of them out to show you, but I do have the actual stamps that I used for the flowers. Then I used die cuts for my green flowers, and one of the cards I used a punch for, not the flowers, the leaves. I used a punch for the leaves. And just regular twine. The colors that were used, they were old ones, so you might have them. Terracotta Tile, Grapefruit Grove, Pineapple Punch, and Call Me Clover. Those were the 4 colors I ended up using. So here's how you go. After you put the designer series paper flat, adhere it flat to the bottom of the card, then you take your sentiment I used a label that was a punch. Then I put my sentiment on it. Sometimes I find my sentiment, and then I find a punch or a die cut that will go around it, versus doing the label and then finding sentiment. Sometimes you do it backwards and it works just as well. So that one you want to put kind of around the middle, or whatever kind of sentiment you use. You can put it anywhere. I use mine, this one, for the people that are going to just assemble what they have for Stamp Camp. You put it in towards the middle. Put mine at an angle. Okay, a little bit at an angle. Then we're going to layer all 3 circles. Okay, the leaf stamped punch is going to be flush. The next one is the 1-inch flower is going to be using the mini dimensionals. Those aren't as high as the regular dimensionals, so that gives you 3 heights. Okay, as you can tell, the twine is underneath the small circle. I actually have the twine underneath the small circle in all 3 cards. What I did after I made the bow is I used mini glue dots. I found this a little trick from someone else that was demonstrating cards. So you take your glue dot, you're going to put your bow in the middle of that glue dot. That glue dot is nice because it's got some gooiness to it. So what I did actually, so I have better control, is I cut each individual one. I cut them by themselves so I don't get other glue dots everywhere else. So then I put a glue dot on the bottom of my bow. Put the glue dot on the bottom. Then if you want, you can flip it around and put another glue dot on the other side, and then you have gooiness on both sides of the bow. It doesn't matter, but that's what I did. Then I put it underneath the circle, the small circle, which is with mini dimensionals. So you want to kind of put it in an area where all 3 are going to get covered by the big circle, obviously. So this leaf is flat to the surface, so I have it to the side a little bit on this particular card. Then I have that flat to the surface, mini dimensional. This is the regular dimensional, is the big circle flower. So I just kind of placed it in that particular position. Then I tucked my leaves that I cut. I cut extra leaves just to give it a little bit more green looking with die cuts. This was actually the one I used for this particular card. I used this one here and this one here, and I just tucked them underneath. So what I do for them is I use these, because I have a lot of this, so I use these adhesive dots, and I like them because you have a little bit more time to position it. It doesn't stick as quick as these glue dots. Okay, so I was able to put them in and kind of press them down. And remember, because you have so much surface and you're using dimensionals, remember to put a few dimensionals underneath so they stand up and don't sag. And the same with the small circle, even though it's only an inch. I did put, I think, 3 or 4 mini dimensionals underneath. Okay, so then to finish it up, I did have these. Where did I put them? Here we go. These gems I purchased. Never let the gems pass you by when you're looking at the Stampin' Up! Website. Always look in clearance. Always look in any of the sales. These tend to go. These accessories tend to get on the clearance quite a bit, and I love them. You can, in my opinion, you can never really have enough because you're going to put 2, 3 on each card. This one I put a small gem in the middle of the flower, and then I put a bigger gem over to the side. It's hard to tell here because they don't glisten, but boy, it's a cute card. Okay, so that was the first one. All right, then we're going to go to the second card. I'm gonna just flip it over, and so you can see it. Okay, this is the second card. Totally love it. It is a little different of a flower idea, so it's everyone's personal personal likes and dislikes. Okay, so that one was using the stamp set Bloom by Bloom, and it is 2-step. And as you can see, there are leaves to use, and then I use this big flower and the centerpiece right there to go in there, and then I use the small flower, and there's 3 little dots in here where they went right here, and that's what I used in the middle. I love the way this one looked as well. The leaf is singular, so that's why it helps to have some extra leaves as well. In here I used white. You can definitely use green. It will give it a little bit more color on the card than what I have here. So let's get back to the process. This one is you fold your card in the vertical instead of horizontal position. It's going to open this way. See, here's your card, and you're going to open it up this way. Okay, the other ones are going to be the other. Nope, the first one is the only one that's going to be opened up bottom up. This one will be side over. Okay, so the same idea. The leaf flat to the surface. The small 1-inch circle flower is with mini dimensionals, and the large 1 3/4 inch circle flower is going to be with your regular dimensionals, and that'll go up. Now let's say you don't have the 2 different size dimensionals. Don't worry about it. It's not going to make a huge difference. You still want to tuck the small circle underneath the big circle, and it probably won't make much of a difference when you do that. My sentiment I put down at the bottom. So you're going to put your designer series paper flush to the left side, and so the other right side is going to be the color that you choose. I used the yellow, which was the pineapple punch. There's always names for all of this, and then I used the grapefruit grove for the cardstock, and I used a die to cut it out, and then I used the grapefruit grove to stamp my sentiment on it, and it pops up. Just you can see it looks very, very nice and subtle. So you're going the same way. Your bow will get tucked under your 1-inch circle. I use the mini glue dots, but use whatever to get it to adhere underneath, or some people what that you can do is you can just tuck it right underneath one of your dimensionals that's underneath the flower, and you can put it right over the top of the bow, and it will keep it in place. So I have my flower, my leaf is flush. The leaf on the circle didn't come out as much. I maybe could have used a different leaf. See how that one might have been a good option, but that was from a different set. I was trying to keep everything from the same set. So then the big flower is on top. That was using the pineapple punch, and in the middle I did use the terracotta tile, but I did the stamp off method. So I stamped off first, then I put it in the middle because the yellow is not as dark of a color as the terracotta tile, so you do want to stamp off. This one was not stamped off, the terracotta tile, and then what I did is I used, I'm going to correct that. I stamped off for the small flower the terracotta tile, because the middle 3 dots I used the terracotta tile solid with not stamping it off, so it was a darker color. So let me see if it shows up. Yep, it is the same color, but the outer flower of the small one is the stamp off, and then the full-on color is the 3 dots in the middle of that terracotta tile. Okay, and then those leaves are actually a punch, and I punched out white leaves with that. Now these are stringy, so they kind of flop, so you do have to be careful, and sometimes you may need to put a little more, maybe some of the really small ones of these underneath the leaves, so they will stay on the card and not flop and break off. So again, I used only 2 of my gems. On this one I used the green ones. I tucked one behind the big circle, and one is straight out over towards the top. Okay, so this one, very nice card. All right, so the third one we will get to, and it's it's amazing how simple you can use these punches and create. It's the same punches, I mean, yeah, the same 3 circles, but you're using different stamps and it creates a different look. It's just amazing. So this is the third card. I used the fresh fruit, believe it or not, because it had some really neat flowers to the side. I was just playing around with different stamp sets. Now I know I don't have to just make strawberries with this set. I can actually make some flowers, and love that the way this one looked. Okay, totally love the way this one looked. So let's get back to my drawing board. Okay, this one again, I found a stamp that I really wanted to use, and it was from a very old what do you want to call it? I think it was an old paper pumpkin kit. I really do. And it has slid. Oh, here it went. Went underneath all of mine. So this one, it was just so don't pass these up. Keep them, don't pass them up. Every once in a while they come in handy. It says, "To the loveliest person I know." That can go to anybody. It can go to a man or a woman, okay? So this one was using the Grapefruit Grove and then the Designer Series paper, again, cut in half, but you centered it in the middle of this card, okay? So that goes flush to the card, and this is, of course, opening up to the side, okay? See? So it goes in the center, and then stacking again, okay? And I used, found a different, all of my green leaves are from different die cuts. So each card has different different die cuts used. Or okay, so this one was actually, I think, more of a palm branch, but it looks so cool. And I love the way these looked when I did this. Okay, so as you can tell, the big flower is using the I used Grapefruit Grove as the middle, okay, and the edge around it I used the terracotta tile. I did not stamp off. I went straight on full to get a real bold look, okay? So the small circle is using the pineapple punch. Then I'm using the terracotta tile again, as you can tell, terracotta tile again, straight on terracotta tile. Okay, in the very middle, you can barely see it, of that flower is a dot, okay? That is in the Grapefruit Grove in the middle. But you could use terracotta tile and do the stamp off method and not make it so it wouldn't be quite so dark, okay? So here we go. You're going to, I actually tucked the flower first, and then I put the, I have my bow actually tucked underneath the 1-inch stamped leaf. So it kind of put that up just a little bit, but I do have the leaf flush to the surface, but because the bow is underneath both of them, I kind of put the bow at an angle, just to give it something different. And then I have my 1-inch circle is mini dimensionals. My 1 3/4 inch circle is the regular dimensionals. So you have the 3 tiered again, the leaf tucked under, and my sentiment is I found another die to go around it. So always look for, another thing to look for is the dies that are just for labels. So this one was all rectangle die cuts. This one was all 6-point die cuts. I suppose you could squish it together and make a stop sign. Anyway, never pass those by. I used to do that, and now I regret not getting some of the older ones because people use them all the time. I used 2 of the gems again. This one I put a couple green ones. I put one right on the sentiment at the very end, and then the other one, I don't know if you can even tell, it's tucked behind the leaf, okay? Put them anywhere you want. That's where I put them. I actually like the way I have positioned everything, so I would kind of keep the same positioning. And that was the 3 cards, and those are my stamp camp. We're going to do one more kit together, but I'm not going to put that on the video. So that was the 3 cards. Totally love them, and this is what I give to my people. I give them instruction sheets with the cards and with pictures of each card, as you saw the pictures of all of the cards that we made. That's what goes on the instruction sheet, so they can also look at the pictures, and most everyone can figure out how to put them together even without instructions. But it's nice to see the color combination that is used as well. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I will try to put some of the what do you want to call them, the stamp sets I used, so you can look for them yourself, see if you've got them in your own library. They are not current, they are all retired. Everything is retired that's used here, but it just goes to show you don't have to use current supplies at all times. These were just punches. Most people have punches. These were die cuts, and maybe even you have die cuts that you can use instead. I don't have circle die cuts, but I know there were some. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, you can message me. I will try to put all that information in the posting, and I'm new at it, so be patient. If there's something in there you would like to see, let me know, but always like and subscribe, and I believe that gets you tagged or whatever, notified when I put out new videos. I hope you enjoy it, and that is the end.